25 minutes before 10 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. We just wrapped up the last show, which was, of course, Veterans News. And our next guest actually has a wonderfully written novel that has to do with a Vietnam vet. On the phone is J.J. White. He is an engineer. He's a contributor to Wordsmith. He also has contributed to the Homestead Review, the Gray Sparrow Journal, and his book is called Deviant. It's a thriller novel, and I think he lives here in Central Florida somewhere. Good morning, J.J. White. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Hey, good morning, Robin.
And where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Merritt Island.
Oh, okay. So you do live sort of close to
Nice.
here, huh? Are you a vet yourself?
No, I'm not. I was 36 on the lottery back in 1971, but I managed to get into college right because my brother was in Vietnam at the time. They wouldn't let me in.
Oh, is that right? Okay. Well, thank you for being on the air with us this morning. So you are, obviously you were a prolific writer. Is this your first novel, though?
No, I was actually on your show last year. I had a debut novel called Prodigious Savant. Also.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I'm so sorry I forgot. Yeah, but you were absolutely right. Yes.
Yeah, I remember being on your show. I had a good time.
Well, good. I'm glad. So how often do you write a book?
I've written about 8 books. I've published. They've published 3 of them. I have another one coming out. It is a historical fiction one about World War II and the Japanese Americans during that time. That comes out in June, and probably another one after that. I write mostly short stories. I've written stories for Sherlock Holmes Mystery Magazine and Saturday Evening Post.
Oh, neat. When we hear, look, in the last show, for example, they were talking about a program for vets to go hunting, and quite often we have announcements for different things that returning vets with PTSD, et cetera, can do. The awareness that we have as a society to the change that occurs when one is in battle, especially. Is something that is relatively new, I think, in our world. I don't think we ever really grasped it. I don't think we called it shell shock and just kind of brushed it off as no big deal. But these guys and ladies had to live with this. So becoming addicted to heroin, as your character does, did you write that because you knew somebody who had this happen to him?
Yeah, what happened was my brother was in Vietnam in '68 in the Marine Corps, and he would write stories to me and write stories to my mother, and he'd usually write the truth to me and lies to my mother. And I also had a brother-in-law that was in Marines, and most of my friends in Eau Gallie High School, where I went into the service too, because they didn't go on to college. And a lot of them came back with, like you said, they didn't call it post-traumatic stress disorder at the time because it was another year or two before they started calling it that. But back in '69, '70, they called it shell shock, and a lot of them had it. And mostly, they would have nightmares or dreams or something like that, and they would usually try to take care of it with alcohol or drugs or something like that. And that's what gave me the idea for Deviant Acts in the first place.
Yeah, and lifestyle choices. I mean, it runs the gamut for people. The things people will do to try to, I don't know, sedate themselves. I mean, it could be sex. It could be, who knows what it could be. It could be anything. But in all those cases, though, it clearly is deviant behavior, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much. Well, not necessarily deviant behavior, but very close to it. And they feel like they have nothing to lose. It was the same way in World War II, except when my father came back from World War II, they were heroes. And when these guys came back from Vietnam, I remember, and there was not a good reception for them. So it was about the only way they could handle it. And not all of them were like that. And it was just a minority, but usually the minority were the ones that were in the field and fighting.
Is your brother your only sibling?
No, I had 4 other siblings, but he was the only one that was in the war.
So did you? Is he still around? First of all, and were you able to have use your brother as research, so to speak?
Yes, I used a lot of his stories in the front of the book, and I used brother-in-laws and other stories also. He's still around. He's completely disabled for hearing. He lost his hearing in Vietnam, so he's completely disabled, military disabled.
Oh, wow.
Disablement on that, but I do email him and talk to him. He's up in Maryland, and married, and well, he's had problems, but he's done all right.
And personally, you had experienced nothing like that, but you had a ruptured disc, and you were disabled for a little while.
Oh yeah, I was 2006. I was disabled with a ruptured disc, and that's when I started writing. If I'd have been sent to Vietnam, I would have been killed right away. I didn't even know which end of a gun to use. So.
Yeah, that would have been me too. That would have been me too.
Yeah, I was very, very fortunate to go. I was a writer, not a fighter.
There you go. That's what was that guy? Oh, Gilbert O'Sullivan. He had an album called that. Remember?
Yes.
I'm a writer, not a fighter. Alone Again. Naturally. Remember that song? All right. So tell me, give us a thumbnail sketch of the storyline in Deviant Acts.
Okay. Well, most of the book starts in 1973, Charlotte, North Carolina. It's about Jackson Hurst. He's the main character, the protagonist. It's a crime fiction book. He's a poster boy for losers, and he blames it on Vietnam. And I have the book takes in two parts: 73 to 75 and 75 to 78. He's a Vietnam vet mustered out for participating in a massacre, and he lives in Charlotte with his mother. He's 24 years old. So he's a loser. Back then, when you were 24 and lived with your parents, you were a loser. Now it's not quite the same.
Yeah, right. And so he's helping out finding a kidnapped daughter, a 20-year-old.
Well, he's got a mean aunt who's a millionaire up in Vermont. Her daughter's 20-year-old. It's his cousin. She's an adopted daughter. She's been kidnapped from the University of Vermont, and they've cut off her ear, a la the J. Paul Getty story.
Yeah, right.
And she wants her loser nephew to come up and not only get her daughter back, but to kill the kidnappers.
Because she knows he has military experience, right?
Right, that, and he's addicted to heroin. She knows he'll do it, and he agrees to it, and she thinks that that's all there is going to be to it, and he comes up there. But in reality, he wants the money, but he wants to achieve something tangible in his life too. And I think that's important for all veterans, is that they decide they want to achieve something. So he does come up, and he goes after his nephew, and there it becomes like a picaresque type novel with the adventure and the misadventures, kind of in the style of an Elmore Leonard, where they go around the country, and he follows his anarchist cousin around the country and gets into all kinds of trouble, which is my job as an author to get into trouble. See what he's made of.
Trouble is one thing. Having a life on your hands is another. I mean, it would almost seem like adding salt to the wound if you had PTSD from combat, and then you actually followed through with killing somebody for pay.
Yeah, and he doesn't want anything to do with it, but he fights it the whole way.
Yeah, wow, a fascinating idea for a story. So is Jackson Hurst a character we've seen before?
No, but it was read by Sterling Watson, who's a noted author in South Florida. He's Dennis Lehane's mentor and reader, and he said that I should go ahead and write a sequel to it. So I've started to do that. I'm about 8-10 chapters into that.
Well, I've always wondered about that when we have authors on who have like in advance they know that it's going to be part of a trilogy. It's like, how do you know in advance that you're going to keep doing this? I don't think
they do. I don't think they do. I think they just write several characters and then find one that's popular and then go forward with that one.
Oh, okay. We'll take a little break, but we'll be right back. J.J. White is on the phone with us. You're in Merritt Island right now?
Yes, I am.
And the book is called Deviant Acts. It's a thriller novel, and we'll be right back with J.J. White after the break. You're listening to The Source, WOCA Ocala.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accident. For Thursday, mostly cloudy with a couple of showers and a thunderstorm, mainly during the afternoon hours. The high in the 70s to near 80 in the southernmost part of the zone. Mostly cloudy, breezy, and turning cooler Thursday night with periods of rain early, then a lingering shower or two late. Lows will range from 39 in the northwest part of the zone to 51 in the southeast part. Some sunshine returns Friday, a breezy, much cooler day, high 59 to 63. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm Joe Lundberg.
Hey, Matt, I know Sunrise Automotive does auto stuff, but I need some tires for my truck. Can you recommend someone?
Yes, I can. We do that.
No, I mean, I need them installed and balanced and all that.
Yep, we do that.
Well, my son needed his windows tinted.
Yep, we do that.
I need my
too.
seat replaced.
Yep, we do that too.
I need a new roof line, and a new spoiler, and a new trunk.
Yep, we can even do that too.
Okay, I get it. I suppose you can also do a radio show, too.
Well, as a matter of fact, join me, Matt Gibbs from Sunrise Automotive, every Tuesday at 10 for auto repair with personal care right here on The Source.
At Ameris Bank, we understand that there is no purchase more exciting than the purchase of a new home. We are dedicated to helping you find the mortgage that meets your needs and giving you the personal attention you deserve. Our mortgage options offer a variety of benefits, including up to 100% financing, down payment assistance, and expansive credit qualifications, all with the competitive rates and exceptional service. Call Ameris Bank today or visit amerisbank.com to learn more. We look forward to serving you.
Ameris Bank is an equal housing lender and member of FDIC, a loan subject to credit approval.
This is Kendall Carpenter, Director of Operations with Golden Ocala Golf and Equestrian Club. I am proud to announce we will be hosting the Coates Golf Championship, presented by R&L Carriers, here the first week of February. This championship will feature the world's best LPGA players, including world number 1 Lydia Ko. Come and experience women's professional golf at its finest. The championship week starts February 1st and ends with the final round on February 6th. Join me to see the very best in golf at Golden Ocala Golf and Equestrian Club.
On February 13th, the Circle Square Cultural Center at On Top of the World will host the annual Home Improvement Expo. But on Monday, February 8th at 9:45 a.m., Robert Colin from On Top of the World will be our guest to discuss all the exciting aspects of the expo. The expo is free to the public and there will be fun and prizes. Robert will be telling us about the exhibitors and discussing some of the demonstrations. So be sure to listen Monday, February 8th at 9:45 a.m. when Robert Colin will be here to answer your questions.
Putting the local back into radio. 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. WOCA News. Variety. Information. Now. Keep your arms and legs on the inside at all times.
This is WOCA, News Talk 1370.
Visit the WOCA website at www.woca.com.
All right, J.J. White is on the phone with us. He is the author of the book Deviant Acts, and he had been on the air a year ago, he said, and it's one of those things, sometimes you forget,
Yeah.
Well, as soon as I looked at his bio, and I thought, gosh, how did I forget? J.J., when you write a story and you have the skill of writing a thriller novel, and then you introduce, like, romantic elements to it, is that a challenge? Is that hard to do?
Well, it is for me. I have a 4-person writers group. We meet a couple times a week in Cocoa Beach, and whenever we read a chapter, we'll read a chapter from whatever book we're working on, and we'll read a chapter from it and get critique from the others. And whenever I get to a sex scene or romantic scene, they always start laughing. So.
Oh, really? Are there any women in the group?
There are 2 women in the group, and they're the ones that laugh the most. So,
no!
When they start laughing, I know I've either have no idea what I'm writing about, or I'm writing too much about it.
Maybe they're just uncomfortable. Maybe it's not that they're laughing at you. Maybe they're just, you know what I mean? They're in a room with people that, you know what I mean?
Well, we do drink beer and pizza. So I believe that's it. They're uncomfortable.
Well,
they help out a lot. They tone me down.
There was one part in here that did kind of make me laugh too, and not because I'm making fun, but because it's true. Sometimes funny things are a true thing. You're writing a love scene, and I'm afraid to tell the audience too much about it because I don't want to spoil the book. Mm-hmm. But anyway, it goes, when they had finished, he rolled over and held her as he fell asleep. That's pretty much what we all do, us guys, right?
I like that.
We're done. Let's go to sleep.
Well, I am married, so I took some of it from real life. Yeah, I'm blushing on the other end of the phone.
Oh, are you really? Well, I could have read the whole paragraph before, which is kind of a hot paragraph, actually. But
yeah.
I think it is the challenge that we have as radio interviewers when we're talking to novelists. Like if you were a doctor and you wrote a book about how to get rid of herpes or something, we could talk about every word in the book. But with a novelist, you have to be careful.
Oh, you do, and I think I should start writing poorly written cozy mysteries. I think they sell better. So.
Poorly written what?
Cozy mysteries.
Cozy mysteries.
Oh, like what do they call it? Purple prose? You mean the sexual ones?
Well, no, they have mysteries about bakers and people in the cooking industry, things like that are real no dirty words in them.
Oh, okay.
Oh my gosh, just seeing scenarios. You really do run the gamut with emotions in this book, though, because of the different characters, especially Aunt Camille.
Yeah, she's a strong character, and I wanted to make her very confident, and I use a lot of friends and people I know and put all their personalities into her, and to make her not, she's got to have some heart, and she does have a heart with her daughter involved, but I also wanted to make her as mean as possible to my
But he's not close to her, right?
What's that? Well, no, they're not that close because she is adopted and everything, but she does love her daughter, and that's one of the reasons why she wants Jackson Hurst to come up and help her get her back.
Yeah. Is the book available on Amazon?
Yes, it is. Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Black Opal Books, and my website.
Black Opal Books, okay. So are you currently writing another book?
I am. I'm writing this. I just finished a noir-type crime fiction book, a manuscript, and I'll probably send that out pretty soon. And that takes place in 1948 Berlin. And I'm working on a sequel to this one, and it's more of a mystery than a crime fiction.
How do you manage to write the novels that you write with such an in-depth story, and then you also have to switch gears to write different short stories for magazines?
Well, I kind of took advice of Stephen King. He says after you've finished writing a manuscript, a novel, put it away for about a month, write short stories for that month, and then go back to the novel and start editing.
Because sometimes, but sometimes you can see have some kind of vision while you're writing your short story, and you wish it would grow.
Well, that's exactly right. Are you a writer? That's exactly right. You're in bed or something, and it's 2:00 in the morning, and the whole story comes to your head, and you have to get up. And I keep a notebook next to. I climb over my wife and take a notebook and write down the story.
You should switch sides. You should. You want to sleep near the wall? I'm guessing.
Yeah, he's a wall sleeper.
You're the wall sleeper.
Right. I should change sides. You're right.
The title is intriguing, Deviant Acts, and are there any Deviant Acts specifically? Does he fall in love with anybody he shouldn't fall in love with? Let me ask it that way.
Yes, he falls in love with his cousin. That's pretty deviant. And the other thing is he's involved in a massacre of a village in Vietnam, and I used that.
Oh, so he's
both of those
flashing back.
Yeah, in the flashbacks.
Does your brother and your brother-in-law, do they still have flashbacks themselves while they're sleeping?
Well, I don't know if my brother-in-law does, but my brother's adapted somewhat. I remember when he first came home, he had jungle raw. He had stepped on a mine, just like in the book. He had stepped on a mine and was in a hospital for a year in Tokyo. But when he came back, he would be middle of the night. He'd wake up and start screaming. And I remember my parents were very with my father would get up in bed and say, "Shut up," only he wouldn't say shut up. So we weren't very compassionate back then. But yeah, he still had problems. I don't know if he does anymore. I don't think so. He seems happy. He's even though he's 65 years old, he's got an 8-year-old kid, and he seems quite happy right now.
And the medical profession has seemed to make huge strides about helping these days now too.
They have, but he still struggles with the Veterans Administration. There's so much bureaucracy that he's had a difficult time getting his disability. It's taken almost 40 years to get full disability. So. But yes, in medical strides, it depends, I guess, if you have to deal with the VA or if you deal with the regular medical industry.
Mm-hmm. I'm guessing you're probably about our age. We're 61. It sounds like we're similar. So I want to ask you something about. I mean, with an engineering background, which we don't have. and the fact that technology has kind of changed, greatly, especially in the last 10 years or so. Do you incorporate some of your knowledge into the books, and does modern technology present as much of a challenge? This is really not a writer's question or about DeviantX, but does the modern technology have as much of a challenge on you as it would us, because you have that background?
Yeah, I try to avoid the modern technology by writing almost all of my novels in the past. So you don't have to deal with DNA, you don't have to deal with the cell phone tracing, things like that, which everybody struggles, at our age, everybody struggles with trying to incorporate it into the books. I do a lot of research, not only...
That makes sense.
Yeah. So if you put it in the past, it's a little bit easier.
Yeah, right.
48.
You can have a payphone in the past. Yeah.
You can have a payphone. You can have everybody smoking. You get away with a lot of stuff.
This subject must have been very hard for you to decide on for a young lady to be captured and kidnapped, since you have 2 daughters.
It was very hard, and I tried to use actual events and fictionalize them. Today is the anniversary of Patty Hearst's kidnapping.
Oh.
And in this book, I have a court case was similar to Patty Hearst's court case. I also have similar to the Brinks robbery that the Black Liberation Army pulled off in 1980, and the townhouse explosion that I think it was the SDS had in New York City. I believe it was right next to Dustin Hoffman's townhouse. So I incorporated all of those stories, real stories, and blended them into this one.
I have a copy of the book, DeviantX. I'd like to give it away. Call me if you want the copy that was sent to us, and the rest of us will have to go buy it. J.J. White has already told me that you can get it on Amazon. Do you have a website for yourself or for the book?
Yes, it's jjwhitebooks.com.
And we talk about technology. Have you? Is the book available as an ebook or as an? What do they have now? They audiobooks where people read them, and then there's another audiobook where like a computer reads it. Is it available like in those forms?
No, it's available only in electronic, like a Kindle or a Mobi file, and it's also in a paperback version. If it gets enough sales, they put it into a hardback. So that's usually the way it works.
Okay, excellent. Well, JJ, thank you so much. I'm sorry that you weren't able to get to the studio here. But if you're ever in the area and for the next book or whatever, we'd love to have you in the studio for the interview. It's a little bit of a drive. Merritt Island is not exactly around the corner, but we'd love to have you. I think we have somebody calling in for the book. Good morning. Would you like the book?
Yes, I would.
And tell me your name.
You know who this is, right?
No. Who is this?
Grace.
Grace?
Grace? Okay, Grace.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you. We'll put your name on it, okay? Sounds like it's noisy wherever she is.
Right.
All right. JJ, thank you so much. See how quickly it goes? Wow. Well, good for you. Hopefully you'll come back with the next book, and hopefully I remember. Thank you, JJ.
Oh, I will. Thank you, Larry. Thanks,
all right.
Rob.
We'll take a little break. We'll be right back.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accident. For Thursday, mostly cloudy with a couple of showers and a thunderstorm, mainly during the afternoon hours. The high in the 70s to near 80 in the southernmost part of the zone. Mostly cloudy, breezy, and turning cooler Thursday night with periods of rain early, then a lingering shower or two late. Lows will range from 39 in the northwest part of the zone to 51 in the southeast part. Some sunshine returns Friday, a breezy, much cooler day, high 59 to 63. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm Joe Lundberg.
Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source. Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is
Fox News Radio. I'm Lillian Wu at the annual National Prayer Breakfast in Washington.
Giving all praise and honor to God for bringing us together here this morning.
President focusing on how religious faith can help people overcome their fears and embrace their common humanity. It's its final presidential appearance at this gathering, held on the first Thursday of February each year. There's hope for people with type 1 diabetes.
Johnson & Johnson and biotech firm Viasite are working on a stem cell-based treatment. It uses embryonic stem cells. They're converted into insulin-producing cells, and they're implanted into the patient. They've been testing it with great success in animals, and the companies say if they can repeat the performance in people, it would amount to a cure.
Fox Radio's Evan Brown. And U.S. productivity falling a sharp 3% rate in the fourth quarter. Fox News, we report. You decide.
Hey, Joan, which mulch is best for my landscaping?
Well, Tim, a lot depends on the look you want, but any of the quality mulch that Ace carries will help hold moisture and control weeds around your plants and trees.
Ace is the place to find the right mulch, and we're starting the season by offering great brands at an even better price. 5 bags for $10. Choose from 2 cubic foot bags of Jolly Gardener Red Mulch or No Float Cypress Mulch.
Ace is the place with the helpful hardware, folks.
Offer valid February 3rd through February 8th at participating stores. Store stock only. See store for details.
Tammy's blood boiled. How dare they not let her on the cheer squad? She could totally cheer as good as those other girls, especially Mara. Well, Tammy would get her revenge. She found Mara's car and her brand new cheer uniform was hanging right in the window. She reached in and stole it. Then, the theft was covered, thanks to a farmer's agent. Cheer burglar, January 19th, 2014. Talk to farmers. We know a thing or two because we've seen a thing or two.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
Today in Florida Ag News from the Southeast AgNet, the nation's farm credit system was created 100 years ago when Woodrow Wilson signed the act that established the farm credit system. And that fact was recognized this week during the Florida legislative session. Southeast AgNet's Tallahassee intern Alex Lucas talked with Dennis Carlton about the role farm credit plays in Florida.
Mr. Carlton, just tell me a little bit about what Farm Credit's doing up here in Tallahassee and what's going on with the resolution.
Well, it's the 100th year anniversary of Farm Credit. Farm Credit obviously was established in 1916, and what it is a consistent source of financing for creditworthy farmers and ranchers. And obviously we've been doing this for a long time and will continue to do so. You know, being an ag lender, we're in the ag business every day, every year. We're not in and out like some of the commercial banks might be.
And so you said this year is the 100th anniversary of the Farm Credit system. So just tell me a little bit about the impact that Farm Credit has with farmers and ranchers around the state of Florida.
Well, Farm Credit is the go-to spot for credit for farmers and ranchers. You know, and you have to be credit worthy. But one of the benefits of doing business with Farm Credit is the patronage, or it's like a dividend. Farm Credit is a co-op. It's owned by the stockholders, and part of the profits are given back in the form of patronage, and the other part of the profit goes back into capital, which allows us to continue to grow and meet the needs of the farmers and ranchers.
Great. Well, we congratulate Farm Credit on its centennial, and thank you so much.
Thank you.
Alex Lucas, Southeast AgNet.
Thanks, Alex. And the annual Florida State Fair opens today in Tampa as various folks will be on hand for the opening day events. Florida Commissioner of Agriculture Adam Putnam and Attorney General Pam Bondi will join local farmers, ranchers, and Florida ag representatives for a casual breakfast, and then the governor will provide the keynote address during the Governor's Day luncheon. For more information, go to our website, southeastagnet.com. Randall Wiseman, Southeast AgNet.
This is a test of the emergency alert system. This is only a test. If this had been an actual emergency, such as a hurricane or tornado, official messages would have followed the alert tones. WOCA serves the Marion County area. This concludes the test of the emergency alert system.
Here's what you may have missed on the John Tesh Radio Show.
Research tells us that exercise makes us smarter and more productive. However, different workouts give us different benefits. How much somebody earns is not indicative of whether they're a cheapskate or a spendthrift, because somebody who's broke could still have a shopping addiction. It happens all the time. But it turns out the happiest couples focus on just 2 words: thank you.
Intelligence for your life on the John Tesh Radio Show. Don't miss this stuff.
The Women's Veterans Health Fair will be happening on Saturday, February 20th from 10 a.m. until 2 p.m. at the Ocala VA Clinic at the Cascades Office Complex at 1515 East Silver Springs Boulevard right here in Ocala. The Women's Veterans Health Fair. Don't miss it. If you'd like more information, give a call to 352-369-3320. That's 369-3320 for the Women's Veterans Health Fair at the Ocala VA Clinic in the Cascades, February 20th from 10 a.m. till 2 p.m.
Saturday, February 13th is set aside for Kid Genius, an event that you must be 21 and older to attend. Love to gamble? That's what we're doing because Kid Genius helps the many families with kids of special needs. www.kidgeniusincorporated.org is where all the information you need is found, and Comic-Con style costumes are the choice of the evening from 7 to 11 p.m. CrossFit Iron League in downtown Ocala is the location for all this madness and fun. Help Kid Genius help others. www.kidgeniusincorporated.org.
If you wanna get Kid Genius, I'll be there.
On February 13th, the Circle Square Cultural Center at On Top of the World will host the annual Home Improvement Expo, but on Monday, February 8th at 9:45 a.m., Robert Colin from On Top of the World will be our guest to discuss all the exciting aspects of the expo. The expo is free to the public and there will be fun and prizes. Robert will be telling us about the exhibitors and discussing some of the demonstrations. So be sure to listen Monday, February 8th at 9:45 a.m. when Robert Colin will be here to answer your questions.